All right, let's talk about something we all know and love, the simple chocolate bar. But the story behind it? Well, that's anything but simple. Today, we're going to unwrap the incredible journey it takes, all the way from a tropical bean to that silky, snappy treat in your hand. It is way more fascinating than you might think.
And just how much do we love chocolate? To put it in perspective, the global chocolate market is on track to be worth nearly $147 billion by 2026. Yeah, that's billion with a B. It's a gigantic industry, all built on a craving the whole world shares.
I mean, think about it. We see it on the shelf, we grab it, we tear open the wrapper, and we enjoy it. But if you've ever really, truly wondered what it takes to get it there, let's follow that journey from start to finish.
First up, a billion-dollar craving. Before we dive into the how it's made, let's take a second to understand the why. The sheer economic and cultural force that chocolate has become.
At its very core, the definition is pretty straightforward, right? It's a food made from roasted and ground cocoa beans. But, wow, from that simple idea, this incredible worldwide phenomenon has just exploded. Okay, next section, decoding the chocolate bar. So you've got this one core ingredient. How does that turn into all the different kinds of chocolate we know? What actually separates a milk chocolate bar from a dark one?
I mean, visually, the difference is pretty obvious. You've got your white, your milk, and your dark. They look different, they for sure taste different, and the reason for all that comes down to what's inside them, and maybe more importantly, what isn't.
And here is the absolute key difference. The cocoa bean gives us two main things. Cocoa solids, that's what provides the dark color and that classic bitter flavor, and cocoa butter, which is the fat. Now, dark chocolate is all about having a high concentration of those cocoa solids. But white chocolate, it's got that rich cocoa butter, but, and this is the big secret, it has zero cocoa solids, none at all.
So these are the main players on the field. Milk chocolate, of course, adds milk into the mix to find that creamy middle ground. And then you've got unsweetened chocolate. That stuff is basically 100% pure chocolate liquor. It's intense, bitter, and it's the foundation for a lot of baking.
All right, now we get to the real heart of it all, the bean's transformation. Let's follow a single cocoa bean right from the moment it arrives at the factory. The whole journey kicks off with these three absolutely critical steps. So once the beans get to the factory, they have to be carefully cleaned, then they're roasted to bring out the flavor, and finally, they're cracked open in a process called winnowing. Roasting. This is where so much of the magic begins. Heating the beans up to around 180 degrees Celsius does two super important things. First, it develops all those deep, complex flavors we think of as chocolatey. And second, it sterilizes the beans, which is obviously a huge deal for food safety. So after they're roasted, this machine called a winnower gets to work. Its whole job is to crack open that now brittle bean and blow away the useless outer husk, leaving behind the valuable treasure that's inside. And this is that treasure, the cocoa nib. This little thing is the heart and soul of every single piece of chocolate on the planet. From this moment on, every single step in the process is all about transforming these potent little pieces.
This flowchart really gives us the perfect roadmap of the whole process. We just covered cleaning, roasting, and winnowing to get our cocoa nibs. If you follow the path, you can see those nibs are about to get milled into what's called chocolate liquor. And right from that point, the process splits off. One path to create cocoa powder, and the other to create the chocolate we love to eat.
Okay, so we have our precious nibs. Now for the final act. This is where those rough little nibs are refined into the smooth, polished, and perfectly snappy chocolate bar that we all expect.
And that final transformation happens in three more crucial stages: grinding, conching, and tempering. Each one of these is absolutely essential for creating the texture, the taste, and the look of a high-quality chocolate bar.
First up is grinding. The nibs are crushed between these heavy rollers, and all that intense friction and pressure creates heat. That heat melts the cocoa butter inside the nibs, and it transforms those solid bits into a thick, dark, flowing paste called cocoa liquor.
Now this machine, a conch. This is where the magic of texture really happens. Conching is basically a long process of mixing and aerating. Its job is to shrink the size of all the solid particles down to under 50 microns. That is so small your tongue can't even detect them. And that's what gives premium chocolate that unbelievably smooth, silky feeling in your mouth.
And finally, we have tempering. You know that beautiful, glossy shine on a good chocolate bar? And that perfect, clean snap you hear when you break a piece off? Well, that is all thanks to tempering.
It's a very precise cycle of heating and cooling that makes sure the cocoa butter crystals form in just the right way.
So that's the incredibly complex journey of just one bar. Now let's connect this back to that huge global market we talked about at the beginning by looking at a really fascinating example: India's growing chocolate obsession.
Get this. In 2020 alone, the chocolate market in India was valued at an astounding $1.9 billion. That shows a massive and growing appetite for this treat.
And that appetite is growing incredibly fast. The market there is expanding at a rate of 18% per year. That makes it a major force in the global chocolate industry.
This quote really explains the cultural shift that's behind those huge numbers. For holidays, gifts, and special occasions, people are choosing chocolates more and more over traditional sweets. It's a global treat that's becoming a local favorite.
So after seeing this whole incredible process, from a humble bean through roasting, grinding, conching, and tempering, all the way to that perfectly finished bar, the next time you pick one up, will you ever look at a simple piece of chocolate the same way again?